the STEM Spotlight video blog. Hello, I'm Sue Sorrentino from Vista Teach Instructional Services, providers of engineering education for young minds. I'm here today with Dr. Jemima Barrowman, who is the author of Science and Engineering, A Perspective on Distinct Disciplines. Welcome, Dr. Barrowman. Would you mind providing our viewers with a brief bio of your professional background?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Sue. So I'm trained as a cell biologist. I completed my doctoral work at Yale University in the laboratory of Dr. Susan Faranovic, where I studied membrane trafficking, which is essentially investigating how proteins are trafficked in the cell to specific destinations. From there, I went on to Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, where I did postdoctoral work for 6 years in the laboratory of Dr. Susan Michaelis. And there I studied the basic cell biology that underlies the premature aging disorder progeria. That's a devastating childhood disorder that results in rapid aging. During that time, that's when I wrote the essay. And from there, from past 2.5 years, I've been at the National Institutes of Health, National Cancer Institute, working as a scientific writer and editor, and working in support of a large group of investigators who study chromatin biology, which is a bit of a change in topic. And that includes epigenetics, chromosome stability, chromatin structure, a lot of mechanisms that when they go wrong or disabled or mutated can result in many types of cancer.
Very exciting, wow. Also so exciting is your paper that I made reference to. Again, it's Science and Engineering, A Perspective on Distinct Disciplines. What I'd like you to do is to share with our viewers what inspired you to write this paper and the main ideas you are most passionate about.
Sure. So I would say that the inspiration for writing that essay was many years of conversations with my father. My dad, Tom Barrowman, was a public school teacher for over 30 years, and he was involved in writing and developing the New York State curriculum for technology education. He was also an education consultant for LEGO education during that time, and he was involved in writing, developing, and using LEGO robotics in the classroom. He now works full-time for LEGO education. During that time, my career took a different path. I was more of engaged in science, then I went on to get my PhD in cell biology. But through those many years, we had many conversations about these activities that he was writing, developing, and using in the classroom. Like, what's the difference between a science activity and an engineering activity? And sometimes these activities would be miscategorized as doing science for the students. And so we would discuss this in great detail. And so I would say that the inspiration for this particular essay came out of a phone conversation with my dad when I was at Hopkins, and we were discussing how to distinguish or how to explain the distinctions between the fields of engineering and the fields of science. And he wanted my perspective on it from the purely science point of view, and he asked me to write an essay that he could share with colleagues who were interested in having this conversation or exploring this topic further. So I said I'd give it a try, and I wrote this I wanted to write it from my own perspective. Like, I'm sure if you ask a bunch of scientists to say, what do you think the differences are, everyone would come to the table with a different perspective. So this was mine. And I hoped to convey and give the audience a sense of, I want to almost say a litmus test about how to distinguish an activity from, whether it's science or whether it's engineering. And so the main ideas I would say would be, sure, what's the difference between a science activity and engineering activity? Are you answering a question, or are you developing a product, solving a challenge, or having a tangible product at the end of it? And the other point I hope the essay conveys is maybe a sense that scientists do engineering every day. It's part of answering questions about the world around us. So when we use recombinant DNA technology to express a fusion protein with a fluorescent tag on it that we then use to answer a question about what's going on in the cell, that's a little bit of engineering mixed into our scientific endeavor. That's something maybe I didn't cover in great detail in the essay, but it's another concept that I hope it conveyed to the audience. So I think those are the main ideas that I hoped got across.
Absolutely, and I would have to say you are so correct, as we have seen in our own STEM classrooms how important it is to make that distinction and also to see that relationship of those two disciplines together as well as distinctly apart. It has been wonderful for our students to have this perspective and to understand it, implement it, to see it not only in the classroom but also on a professional level. So we really appreciate your work on this, with taking the time to write this, as has been very helpful to our team of STEM educators, and I am sure that others will feel the same. Thank you so much for taking the time to share about your ideas and this incredible paper, Science and Engineering, A Perspective on Distinct Disciplines. Again, by Dr. Jemima Barrowman. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks.